Okay, guys, we're here with RJ Lopez. We're going to be talking a little bit of Trans Am. RJ, let's get the bad stuff out of the way. Sebring, you were owning the race. You were the fastest guy out there by far, and then next thing you know, you're in the pits. What happened?
Yeah, we had a fuel pump issue. Basically, it was something in the actual plumbing of the car that it's something we just overlooked, basically. So we had a little bit of a clog in the lines, and it overheated the pumps. It made the pumps work a little too hard, and halfway through the race, or a little bit more than halfway. I'm sorry. Pumps just overheated, both of them. So started losing pressure. Went down to like point 0.6. Tried to stay out there and did as many laps as I can, but as I was just dropping positions, and I just figured I might be hurting the motor, so I just went ahead and brought it in because we weren't doing anything out there at that point. We were just a sitting duck, so that was Sebring for us.
All right, when you do have a problem like that, and you come in, you're back in your hauler, and you figure out what went wrong. Was that, you said there was something overlooked? Was that something that you were supposed to look at and nobody did? Somebody messed up, or is it something that never happened before and nobody thought it can go wrong?
Well,
I don't
we
want to
don't
throw
really
anybody under
know.
the bus.
No, basically, I mean, to explain to you what happened was, after the fuel pumps, you got to have two check valves and not allow fuel to go right back into the pump when you're using the other pump, something like that. We had filters, which we thought were check valves. So a filter, what does it do? It, I don't know, filters stuff. So it gets clogged up, after a while. And when you think it's a check valve, you never have to check a check valve, because it's just a one-way, valve that lets stuff in, or lets stuff out, but doesn't let anything in. Well, the filter accumulates, gunk and stuff. Had we known that there were filters, then we would have checked them every race or whatever. But we thought they were check valves. Now, I guess we'd have to point the finger at whoever put filters there instead of check valves, but that was probably done a couple years ago, and since the car doesn't run that often, it's something that, what am I going to do? I'm going to blame somebody for something that may have been sitting there for years already, So it's, it's racing, you learn something every day, I guess.
Yeah, well, you mentioned you don't race it that often. You're not racing the full Trans Am season. Is there a reason for that? Is it lack of sponsorship or just
there's only ever one reason why somebody's not out there racing, why a race car driver's not in a car. We all know that. Yeah, it's definitely lack of sponsorship or just money in general. Trans Am's really coming up, man. I mean, they've done such an amazing job of rebuilding that series. So I mean, now's the time to really be out there. So now I really am trying hard to find that sponsorship, and I think I can. At least I have a better shot at finding sponsorship now as opposed to 3 or 4 years ago when I was running a lot. But yeah, just haven't found that yet. So once I do, I mean, I'm gonna try. I'm definitely doing Homestead next coming weekend. And I'd really like to get to Atlanta. So I'm gonna try and do those. And then hopefully we'll be able to get some kind of help along the way to do some more of them. So,
well, you mentioned Homestead. That's in less than 2 weeks now. Your home track, obviously, at least in the United States. It's totally different scenario when it comes to the Homestead track and Sebring. Do you prepare the car differently, or do you pretty much just have the same car set up and go in there and then adjust when you get there?
yeah, basically. I mean, there are a few things, and especially now since we're running the banking, I mean, there's definitely a few things that you need to do to the car to prepare it. Now we're also going to be running a Roval tire, which I think is going to run on a lot higher tire pressures. So yeah, there's definitely some setup changes you do beforehand. It's nothing like hugely drastic. I mean, you might lift the car up a little more on one side and obviously do the gearbox change, but other than that, I mean, it's not like night to day. It's not like I guess when they take an Indy car from Laguna Seca over to Indianapolis or something. It's not quite that drastic, but sure, yeah, there are definitely some changes we got to make. But we pretty much got it all nailed. I mean, this car I've actually never run on the banking there. In fact, this car, the Corvette, surprisingly, I had to really only run it once at Sebring before last year's Trans Am. And it was all in the rain, so I really hadn't run this car at, I mean,
okay.
not Sebring, at Homestead.
Homestead.
Before last year's Homestead, I'd only run it once at Homestead, and it was in the rain, so it was kind of like useless information. So I was pretty much, other than, yeah, I personally have thousands of laps around the track, but the car didn't. So, and this will be the first time I run it in the banking at Homestead. So, you know, it's not like I have this huge advantage. I mean, I still think I got maybe a little bit of an advantage, but yeah, but I mean, it's nothing, you know, it's not in the bag, so to say, you know.
Well, there's one thing I know that's different for the car setup, and well, basically for the car from Sebring, you have to worry about all that black sealant peeling, getting to take off the car. For people don't know, the Trans Am guys at Sebring had a real bad time with the sealant coming up from the track and getting on everything.
Yeah, you might want to ask my crew about that. They got a little more to say about that than I do. Yeah, that was kind of a big mess. Yeah, our first session out there, just car came back, just, you know, car looked brand new when we got there, and it looked like it hadn't been washed in 6 years when we got off the track after, you know, a 20-minute session. So yeah, nobody was really happy about that.
Yeah, I saw one team, I think they got 12 pounds of that stuff off their car. And 12 pounds is a lot of racing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Back to Homestead. Obviously, it is your home track here in the States and everything. What makes Homestead different? Because, you know, I'm always trying to find out why, you know, every track's different. What makes Homestead different than the other tracks, at least for you?
Homestead on the surface is a very straightforward-looking track, and you know, it is. You know, I always say, first of all, let me say it's a very fun track. I love Homestead. But when you look at it, it's basically, I basically say it's 4 straightaways with a few turns in between, you know? There's nothing too challenging. There's nothing challenging about Homestead. However, there are certain places in Homestead where you got to drive it a little differently than you think you would, at least to make time. You know, you can get around some turns any way you want, but there's certain areas there that you would think you drive it one way to be fast. But at least for these cars, that's not how you want to drive it. I don't know. I don't really want to give away everything. But yeah, there are little tricks, little nuances to getting around there quicker, you know. And if you know where those are, it certainly does help.
Well, at least help the fans out. If you're at Homestead, you're a fan, you want to watch the race, where's the good place to watch? Where's the magic happen at Homestead?
All right. Definitely, you know, it depends what you're looking for. I like turn 1. I would love to, and not to, you know, brag or toot my own horn, but I'd love to see myself going through turn 1, sitting right there at the inside of turn 1, because the car's just coming fast. And I know that's where I'm just like pushing it. That's one of the, you know, that's one of the turns like in all of U.S. racing where you're just, it's kind of like almost like the kink in Road America where you're just like, all right, I'm going for it, and you throw the car in there as fast as you can. So for that aspect, maybe it's worth sitting there for qualifying and just seeing the cars fly through there super fast. Now for passing and stuff, I would say I'm not really good at knowing the numbers of the turns. After the second straightaway, I think it's like turn 5. We got a double apex right-hander going back to another straightaway. Well, that's a good passing zone because you got a lot of hard braking going in there as well as the hairpin. But I might even like that one a little better than the hairpin, because the hairpin you want to take your best line possible to go out onto the back straight. So usually people follow single file unless you get a good run and then do a little pass. But that other one, turn 5, let's just call it turn 5. There's definitely a lot of passing there because the exit you can kind of throw away really because you got another turn, a sweeper turn coming right after it. So you can kind of throw away the exit, so you don't mind jumping in there and trying to pass a car there because you don't have to be so concerned about exit speed. So that's a good spot to watch.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. That's where I always get passed. I mean, I can never get that corner right.
That's another one. You see, that's what I'll give you that trick. That corner, you want to slow it down more than you think. You know, some people try to hustle it through there. You don't want to. You want to rotate the car and get on it.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm always nice and wide out there, and everybody's like, "Oh, thank you," and I'm like, "Oh, here you go."
Yeah.
Well, then again, I suck, and I know it. Hi. I keep on mentioning Homestead as your home track here in the States. You have a home track outside of the States. You're from the Dominican Republic. We were talking before earlier. There's a track down there. I didn't know your family owns part of that track.
Yeah. Las Americas racetrack was called Mobile One for the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah, my father built that track with a few partners, Manny Gonzalez, who's also been a long-time racer, and 2 other partners that are maybe a little less known in the racing community. But yeah, they built that track back in Well, let's say they finished building it in '98. They may have started a few years before,
Mm-hmm.
but so yeah, that's where I started. That's where I started racing. I started right in a GT1 car or a Trans Am type car because that's what we had, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a steep learning curve for me.
That's a heck of a car to start your
Yeah,
racing
you tell
career
me
in.
about it. I actually learned to drive stick shift in that car.
Oh, Jesus.
I really did. So, but anyways, yeah, that's where I started. You know, it's a great little track for. It's one of the better tracks in the Caribbean. You can definitely say that. I'm not going to say it goes and it compares to Road America or Mosport, but it's a good track. There's a great racing scene down there. We've had some pretty good races. We've had Grand Am Cup there before, AGT before Trans Am was back. Excuse me. We had the AGT series there a few times. So yeah, we've had a few major races and a lot of big guys have been there. It's it's a tighter track, but you really gotta know how to get around it to be quick there because it's not that one's definitely not very straightforward. But yeah, that's where I started and hopefully like to see Trans Am go there one day.
Well, let's start talking to people. Let's start lobbying. Let's get some people to pay for it.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun. Get down there. I can hang out in the pits drinking my Presidente, no problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got to do it.
All right, AJ, I want to thank you very much. It was a great interview. We've been talking with RJ Lopez. What's the number of your car? 90?
No, it's 16 now.
16 now. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I expect you to be up there near the front and fix the fuel pump problem.
Yeah, I think we're all got it fixed, man, so we should be up there.
All right. I'll see you in a Homestead in about a week and a half.
All right, man. Hey, thanks a lot for the interview. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.